Unprecedented times in Italy and beyond. And with the league suspended, time for a closer look at the careers of Serie A players past and present. Marco Di Vaio scored close to 150 goals playing for 6 different clubs. We've got the best of those strikes. Andriy Shevchenko and Giuliano Giannichedda featured in Italy's top flight more than 500 times between them. We'll hear directly from them both. And we begin with the man of the moment, whose goals have helped his club reach the Champions League quarter-finals.
Plenty in the box for Ilicic. Instead he goes for goal himself! Oh my word, that's wonderful! Everything is coming off for Josip Ilicic.
Sometimes in football, a player and a club just suit each other perfectly. And that certainly seems to be the case with Josip Ilicic and Atalanta. In a Serie A career that has now spanned a decade, he's travelled south to north, thrilling fans wherever he's played. But it's been in Bergamo where he's produced arguably his most consistent form, and in his 3 years representing della, the club have reached heights few would have thought possible.
The Champions League awaits. What a night for Atalanta. A third-place finish in Serie A, the highest the club has ever enjoyed in its 111-year history.
In so many ways, it's a far cry from his first experience in Italy, playing for one of the southernmost clubs, Sicilian side Palermo. Their supporters saw flashes of his brilliance, but with at least 2 coaching changes in each of his 3 seasons, there perhaps wasn't the stability for him to thrive. In all, he played under Delio Rossi, Cesar Cosmi, Rossi again, Stefano Pioli, Davis Manja and Bartolo Muti. And then in his 3rd and final season at the club, Giuseppe Sannino, Giampiero Gasparini, Alberto Malassani, Gasparini for a 2nd time, before finishing the campaign as it started with Sannino. Palermo's relegation in 2013 meant Ilicic had to move on to stay in Serie A, and he found a new home in Florence. For Fiorentina, he was in and out of the side, particularly in his first 2 seasons under Vincenzo Montella. He was then replaced in the dugout by Paulo Sousa, who gave Ilicic more game time. But after hitting 13 goals in the first year under the Portuguese,
And Ilicic! Swept home by the Slovenian.
Ilicic's form tailed off, and he was allowed to leave the club. But one of his many former coaches at Palermo was keen for a reunion. Gasparini, now in charge of Atalanta, signed the forward in the summer of 2017. It was the perfect match. With Gasparini's system accommodating not just 1 but 2 number 10s playing in behind a lone striker, Ilicic knew he'd have twice as much chance of playing in his ideal position and demonstrating his considerable technical ability. He would also go on to cultivate an incredible relationship on the field with his fellow trequartista, Papu Gomez.
Here's Gomez, great run, can he finish it? Yes he can!
Together they've been instrumental in Atalanta becoming one of the most exciting attacking teams, not just in Italy but the whole of Europe. And their qualification for the Champions League for the first time at the end of the 2018-19 season was fitting reward for their excellent displays. This year they've continued in a similar rich vein of form, whilst exceeding many people's expectations in the Champions League. Despite now being 32, Ilicic is also enjoying his best season from a personal point of view. The man affectionately referred to as Nonna Giuseppina, Grandma Josephine, has enjoyed spoiling the Atalanta supporters and continues to play with youthful enthusiasm. Never afraid to attempt the audacious,
Ilicic! Oh my word! What do you say about that?
His Serie A showreel's up there with the very best.
Josip Ilicic currently finds himself 5th in the Serie A scoring charts for this campaign. 15 goals is 3 more than his total for the whole of last season. Cristiano Ronaldo is 2nd, having scored 11 times since the turn of the year. Comfortably out in front is Lazio's Ciro Immobile, who has found the net on 27 occasions in 26 games. Another Lazio player tops the assists table. Luis Alberto has been the provider of 12 of his team's goals, at least 4 more than anyone else. Immobile also features in this list, highlighting his all-round game. Lorenzo Pellegrini of Roma and Alejandro Gomez of Atalanta have registered 8 apiece. Etrit Berisha of Spal has been the busiest goalkeeper so far, making 116 saves. Torino's Salvatore Sirigu and Udinese's Juan Musso have also passed the 100 mark.
Nedved taking a tumble and winning the free kick. Intervening here as Pirlo walks away from the scene. Protesting as Juve take the free kick quickly. Little flick by Trezeguet. De Vaio! Oh, it's a screamer! A brilliant hit from Marco De Vaio. Unstoppable, extraordinary. And Juve are level. Indeed, are never getting that. And it's 1-1 with 6 minutes to go. A moment of brilliance from Marco De Vaio.
Brescia playing it out of defence coolly. That is a little sloppy from Diamante. Ekdal finds Gaston Ramirez. Forward to De Vaio, who'll try one! And Bologna take the lead. Alberto Malazzani's side in front. It all stemmed from a Brescia mistake, but it's a wonderful finish from De Vaio for his 7th league goal of the season. Moved forward quickly by Gaston Ramirez, but he still had plenty to do. 34 years of age, but still has the goal scorer's instinct.
Juventus searching for the equaliser. Time is beginning to run out though for the Bianconeri. Here's Lilian Thuram. De Vaio. Oh, what a header that is from Marco De Vaio to level things up at 1 apiece. Superb delivery from Thuram, and De Vaio rising high, perfectly placed.
Trezeguet, Tacchinardi, here's Marco De Vaio, full of purpose and pace. He's away from 1, he's away from 2, it's a stunning goal. Marco De Vaio, just dazzling. A goal to put a 27th league title in touching distance for Juventus. Well, fans, teammates, colleagues on their feet to salute a breathtaking goal.
Here's Borriello into the path of Conca. Powerful run for Genoa, and here's a real opportunity. Marco De Vaio! It's 2-0. De Vaio is back in Serie A and back on the score sheet. His first goal for more than 3 years. And Genoa are heading for their 2nd league win of the season.
Bologna very much on top here. They will look long for the run of De Vaio. Oh, brings it down beautifully and makes it 3-0. It's a super goal from Marco De Vaio. How about that for the first touch? And what followed wasn't bad either, beating Juan Pablo Carrizzo.
Oh, Tony's lost out to Mutarelli, and running in behind is Meggiorini. Now here's De Vaio. Still De Vaio goes on! It's 2-0 to Bologna, and Marco De Vaio has both against his old club. He put Bonucci off balance, the defence converged, but Storari was beaten too.
Red and black. These colours will always be in my heart. They're the colours of the club which gave me so much, one which made me a Champions League winner and helps me to achieve everything in football.
Добиться всех регалий футбола.
Milan had been following me for 2 years before it happened, and I had a very clear understanding of how things worked over there. Italian football's popularity at that time was simply huge, especially with Juventus, Milan, Roma and Napoli, teams that stood out during that period and had the best players. I was 22 years old, and I was ready for the next step in my career, to test myself in the toughest league, playing against the best teams in the world. At the beginning, it wasn't easy for me to adapt. The coach at the time, Alberto Zaccaroni, had a huge role in my good start for the club. He was a very smart man and a very good coach, with whom I had a great relationship. He introduced me to Italian football superbly. I wasn't always in the starting 11, but I always featured in games. Gradually I built up confidence, and one of the best performances I gave during the start of my career in Italy was against Lazio in Rome. It was a 4-4 draw, and I scored a hat-trick. I couldn't have expected more from my first season. I set the bar really high, although we didn't perform that well in the league, as the team was undergoing somewhat of a rebuild. I felt great and became the top scorer in my first campaign. Claiming this title in your debut season is very difficult. Of course I was happy, but I wanted to win something more with the team, so we were waiting for the next year. The second season was very difficult for us, because there was a change in coach. But despite this, I had a great campaign. I felt excellent and played very well, again scoring 24 goals. The only thing was, we didn't win anything. The year we won the Scudetto, it was between Juventus, Milan and Roma. They were the contenders. After the first part of the season, I think we were 7 or 8 points behind Roma, and the match we played in Rome was very important. We played against Roma and we were able to win that match. Then, in the space of a week, we closed the gap. It was 1 point, and then within a month, we were 4 or 5 points ahead of Roma. Those months, January and February, were extremely successful for us. We played really well as a team. Winning the Scudetto at San Siro against the main contender, Roma, was a simply unforgettable day. I remember how special it was to see Milan fans in the stadium celebrating the great team that we were. That was definitely one of the best moments of my footballing career.
Это, конечно, одни из самых лучших моментов в моей футбольной карьере.
I had been going for the Ballon d'Or for a long time. I'd had a few chances to win it, and finally I deserved it as a player. Those who voted for me preferred what I had done that season, so that was a special year for me.
Это особый год для меня. Значит, это огромные эмоции.
It was very emotional, but even more so when, at the next home game, after receiving the award, it was handed to me at San Siro in front of the Milan fans. The amount of people who came to the stadium was simply unforgettable. In Italy, Milan is a special place. It's my second home. So the 8 years I spent there brought me closer to the Italian people. I'll always remember Italy, not only because of what I won and achieved, but generally because of my relationships with Italian people and fans. in particular those of Milan.
Народом и с болельщиками, особенно Милана.
Football players have to grow up quickly. You must become a man in no time. Big sides need to have top-class players on a technical level, but they need big characters too. When I arrived in Rome, Giuliano became a man and built his reputation as a Serie A player.
Once the unsung hero in central midfield for the likes of Lazio and Juventus, now looking back on his career with a sense of fondness and immense pride, Giuliano Giannichedda credits his humble beginnings and strength of character for his success.
I come from a little town near Frosinone, where football was the main sport and the main source of fun for kids. From then on, my passion steadily grew, and it became more serious. I started playing with older guys in the 5th or 6th tier. And in those leagues, people played to keep food on the table. Then, when I was 17, I began playing in the 4th tier, and it was another step up. You become a professional and start training every day. On top of that, I studied, because I was in high school, and I had to juggle the two. It's hard, but you do it. Because my passion for football was so great, I managed to make these sacrifices.
It was these sacrifices that would help lay the foundations for the times to come. And at 19, a move to Serie A with Udinese under coach Alberto Zaccheroni proved to be a perfect fit.
Udinese had spent years battling relegation and staying up in the final weeks of the season. And from that year onwards, for 6 years in a row, qualified for the UEFA Cup. From there started Zaccheroni's Udinese that we know now. I still have friends there, and to this day I hear from my teammates. I still speak to Zaccheroni. He's a wonderful person, both from a footballing perspective and on a personal level. Everything I have achieved is in a large part thanks to Zaccheroni.
After 6 seasons as a stalwart of Udinese's midfield, Giannichedda's continued rise won him a move to Serie A title contenders Lazio, earning his place alongside some of the league's greatest ever players.
My spell at Lazio was an incredible time in my career, and an unexpected one too. It was a big step up for me, because I came from a side like Udinese, where we were used to focusing first on staying up and then thinking about a European spot. But Lazio were a big side with top-class players. I've had many teammates, and the ones I remember most fondly are Nesta, Stam and Cannavaro. When they went out there, immediately everyone sensed their personality, their technical ability. What makes big clubs is they have these players that can teach you a lot as far as personality goes, and they inspire you. I have to thank all Lazio fans because they've always supported me, every single time I played, and I tried to pay them back with my performances. We had a good connection. I knew what the fans wanted, and they knew that whenever I played, I would give my all.
In a period of transition for Lazio, a change of ownership signalled a move for Giannichedda when Juventus came calling, where he would hone his winning mentality.
At Juve, you're built to win. You go out on the field giving your best to try to succeed. You see top-class players like Del Piero, Buffon, Nedved, Ibrahimovic and Camoranesi, all big champions training every day to improve. When you train with players like these and you sense how much desire they have to get better, even though they're top-class players, you're driven to do even more. Because you're a normal player and you have to keep up. Once you start playing, the years go by, then you realise you had a good career. You started off in a town of 3,000 people, and you got to play for Italy. You got to contend for the title with Lazio. So once you look back, you can really enjoy what you've done, because whilst you're playing, you're so caught up in the passion and desire to train every day that everything just seems normal.
Two of Giuliano Giannicheda's former clubs occupied the top two spots in Serie A when the league was suspended at the conclusion of matchday 26. Juventus lead Lazio by just a single point, with Inter in third. Atalanta, Roma and Napoli complete the top six. At the other end of the table, Lecce, Spal and Brescia currently occupy the bottom three. City rivals Genoa and Sampdoria find themselves just outside the relegation places. With no fixtures scheduled until April at the earliest, we leave you with the standout moments of the season so far.
Immobile on the turn, pulls it back! In! Luis Alberto! And finally, on terms in the derby.
Tweedy. Higuain, lovely turn! It had to be him! There's the angle ball, Milinkovic-Savic! Lazio prove that they belong!
Lukaku! 2-0! It's into joy at San Siro!
Here's Dybala. And Dybala to drive it! Dybala for Juve! A priceless goal!